I want to be with my life mate, the love of this lifetime. Is having a lot of casual sex and a lot of partners right now interfering with that?
Esther remembers saying to Jerry, "What's your favorite thing to eat?" They were just coming together. And Jerry said, "Swordfish." And Esther thought, "Oh my, we will forever be incompatible on food." Because Esther had never eaten swordfish that was pleasing to her. She had had very little fish of any kind that was pleasing to her. So then Jerry began introducing her to different foods and different fishes until shortly thereafter she announced her favorite food in all of the world is swordfish. But how would she have known if she had not sampled? In other words, how do you know what you want if it is not for exposure to experience? So how can data collection be hazardous to making decisions about what you want?
Mm-hmm. So is continuing along having as many partners as I choose no interference to it all, and when she appears, when she manifests, then I can just be with her, and it's no interference.
Well, here's what's happening. As you are moving through your day-to-day experiences, even on subjects that do not seem to have anything to do with relationships, you're having experiences that are causing you to identify who you are and the aspects of physical life experience that you are comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So long before you even set forth your first intention for a lifetime partner, you have been projecting into your vibrational escrow the essence of things that are pleasing to you, that are all dovetailing into this magnificent relationship. So the thing that we want you to hear is that this relationship that you say that you are looking for, you have contributed so much information to source energy, and source energy is so at one with all of that, that your perfect partner is already in place, and circumstances and events are evolving to assist you in discovering that. So the question is, while you are having exposure to these other experiences that you're talking about, is that experience enhancing or closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be, or widening it? So let's say you're having an experience and you're saying, I shouldn't be doing this. Well, then you're widening the gap. What if you are with someone and you are criticizing this one for all of the flaws that are there? Then you're widening the gap. But if in your interaction you are feeling appreciation, you are looking for positive aspects, you are feeling satisfied with where you are, then you're closing the gap.
I have 3 questions, if they're okay. First is, when does a being join or enter into its physical body? Is it at the point of conception, when the sperm enters the egg, or is it sometime during gestation, just when it's born? When does that being take possession of the body, so to speak?
The reason it will be a little bit difficult to answer this question precisely as you have asked it is because the premise that you are coming from is flawed in this way.
Okay.
And most people have this same misunderstanding. You see yourself as a clump of flesh, and you see this non-physical energy as a clump of energy, so you're wanting to know, when does the clump join the clump?
Right.
And we're wanting you to understand that it's a stream of energy, and so some of the consciousness is entering the fetus because the mother's body is calling it forth. And so there is cellular summoning that is taking place all during the formation of that. And you say, well, is that my inner being that is in there growing me as a fetus? And we say, well, yes, but not in the way you are specifically meaning it in this question. In other words, when the consciousness that you would define as you enters your body, we want to say at first breath. But that really is not accurate in the sense that non-physical energy has been aware of this growing being all along, and to the degree that it is necessary for the growing of the body, it is taking place. You might say, if we want to really exaggerate this point, that Esther's consciousness entered her body long before she met Abraham. But now she is allowing Abraham to flow through. A whole lot more of that non-physical consciousness is being allowed. That's why so many religions are saying, I'm born again. I'm finding a way to really allow who I really am to begin to flow. So we know it's on this debate over abortion or right to life and all of that stuff. And what we want to say is you cannot quell life. You cannot stop life. It flows.
I've heard snippets in some of the other CDs on karma as to whether there is actually karma as we understand it. There seem to be so many teachings that...
That's right. Those words are tricky. As we understand it, from what perspective?
Balancing things out. You know, if you've done something, quote unquote, to somebody, that you have to repay
well, we
that
will not
to balance it.
even begin to try to unravel the mess that humans have made of the subject of karma.
Okay.
But we will give you our basis of perspective or understanding relative to all of this. And we're going to ask some questions so that you can feel the power of our answer.
Okay.
Do you understand from what you've heard before or from what we have amplified here today that you are source energy here in this physical body?
Yes.
And could you feel resonance with what we were talking about just now, about the vibrational relativity between you and you?
Yes.
So you can hear that when you're finding fault with yourself or someone else, and you're full of that aggravated negative emotion that always comes when you are critical of someone, you can feel that that emotion that you're feeling is your indication that you have deviated a bit from who you really are, that your source is sending a signal that's different than the one you've got activated, so you are disallowing your full resonance with who you are.
Yes.
So you can conclude from your own personal experience that I can find things in this body that cause me to disallow my full connection to who I really am. Yes?
Yes.
So if, when you were critical of whatever, yourself or someone else, and your inner being jumped on that critical bandwagon and said, yes, you're right, he is a creep, then there would be no vibrational discord between you or you, would there?
Right.
So negative emotion is the indication of your causation of separation, too strong of word, between who you really are and who you really are. So our question to you is, if your inner being will not join you in one negative thought of criticism now, what are the odds of your inner being sending you back into another physical lifetime to clean up something you messed before?
Pretty small to none.
Humans are very delightful, and you are so well-meaning in your distortion. Because what you do so often is you stand in a place and then you try to go back and rework things in order to understand how you got here. And so many things like karma are like that. And we understand, in other words, if a person is standing in a place unwanted, sick or hungry or beaten or something severe like that, or not so severe, standing in a place not wanted, and at very deep levels of their being, they know that things are supposed to be going better for them. You begin looking for answers about what's gone wrong. And if you are not making the correlation between what you're thinking and how you're feeling and what's manifesting, then you start looking for things outside of you to explain why you're standing in a place not wanted. And so people often, especially when they look to children who are born in what you would call abnormality, or born in circumstances that you would not choose, that's where people begin saying, oh, there's more to the picture. Something must have happened prior to this life that is now the reason for. And what we're wanting you to understand is you are vibrational beings, and all of your power is always right here and now. And you are not today living any negative repercussions of anything that you have lived in any other life experience. But if it makes you feel better to think so, then go right ahead. And we really mean that. In other words, so here you're standing in this place of true despair. We would rather that you say, it's out of my hands, I can't do anything about it right now, it must be about something over which I have no control, if that makes you feel better, than to say, I am a wretched being who is doomed to eternal everlasting hell. In other words, we think it is the lesser of evils. But not accurate in any way.
It kind of falls possibly into the same category as the karma thing. Are there dark forces, dark entities who are having an influence on the planet opposite, in essence, to what you're doing?
Again, we'll answer the question with some questions first, and we will get right to the bottom of this one. It's big. In the same way that your awareness of someone who has cancer is a negative influence in your reaching for well-being, and only in that way. In other words, every thought that has ever been thought still exists. Right. So every worrisome thought, every fearful thought, every hateful thought, every thought that has ever been thought still exists. It is vibrationally there. So when you're living something that causes you to activate a vibration, you can very well tap into that stream. In other words, when we're talking about what you're forking off toward, you can fork off into a very dark corner. But we want you to understand that there is not a source of evil in the way that there is a source of well-being. You don't walk into a room and look for a dark switch. You don't expect to flip a switch and cause some inky, misty darkness to cover up the light. You know that you can resist the light. But there is not a source of darkness, and there is not a source of sickness. You can disallow wellness. There is not a source of confusion. You can disallow clarity. There's not a source of evil or badness. You can disallow the well-being. But it is all about the vibrational in the moment disallowance. Your natural state of being is one of utter well-being. And to the degree that you choose thoughts that allow that, that's why we're talking with such powerful words about wanting to help you to quantify your own journey between where you are and where you want to be. Because when you are looking outside of you, look how many different people are approaching life in so many different ways. And when you look at their manifestations and try to guide your life relative to the actions that they have lived, people say to us, Abraham, I should look at these things, these statistics, because after all, they are true. And we say, of course they are true. Anything that anybody turns their attention to for very long becomes vibrationally activated and manifests in their experience. And then it becomes a statistic. It becomes a reality. It becomes a truth. It becomes part of your history, you see. So the question is not, are there true things out there that are negative or evil or not wanted? Yes, of course. You see the evidence of them all around you. The question that we would be asking is it necessary for me to become a vibrational match to it? The question that we would ask is, do those bad things, do those unwanted things, call them cancer, call them evil, call them anything you want, do they have the power to jump into my experience? And we say, absolutely not. Nothing jumps into your experience. It is all by vibrational invitation. It's like this well-stocked kitchen with every ingredient imaginable, and you want to make this delicious pie, and then you say, I have the ingredients chosen for my favorite pie, and I see no reason for any other ingredients to exist. So I would like to eradicate the kitchen of Tabasco sauce and things like that. And we say, just don't put it in your pie. And you say, but what if it gets in my pie? And we say, it can't get in your pie unless you put it there. And you say, but I would feel better if it weren't in the kitchen. Because just the fact that it's in the kitchen makes me fear that it will get in my pie. And we say, it will not get in your pie unless you put it in your pie. And you say, but others are putting it in their pie, and what if some of it gets in my pie? And we say, it can't get in your pie unless you put it in your pie. And you say, it's in my pie, it's in my pie. How did it get in my pie? And then you start trying to explain how it got in your pie. They put it in my pie. They had the power to put it in my pie because I didn't want it in my pie. I know I wouldn't have put something in my pie that I didn't want in my pie. So since I know I wouldn't have done it, and there it is, evidence it's done, then somebody else has power in my experience. Maybe a past life. And we say, really, it's just your attention to the unwanted thing that caused it to get in your pie. And you say, well, that's hard for me to believe that I would put something that I don't want in my pie. And we say, that's because you're still forgetting that attention to unwanted things puts them in your pie, you see. And because so many people have forgotten that attention to whatever puts it in your pie, then they want to blame it on religion, they want to blame it on God. Do you know the rap that man has given to God? Have you followed the history of what is source energy and pure positive energy? Have you been reading some of those things that they've been writing about what source energy is like in its vengeance and in its disappointment in you? None of that is true. It's all man's distorted view as he puts things in his pie and doesn't know how he's putting them in his pie.